Hey, what's up, NFL nerds? We're back with another prediction video for the 2019 NFL season. Today we are doing the Atlanta Falcons. Now, I decided I'm probably going to be doing these by division. I'll probably do an NFC division, and then I'll do an AFC division, and then do another NFC division, and then another AFC division, and we'll finish when we finish. Now I'm going to try to keep these uploads consistently every day. So yeah, let me know what division you'd like me to you'd like me to do next. I'm always open to suggestions. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump into the Atlanta Falcons 2019 season prediction. So they're kicking off the season at the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I see this being a pretty high-scoring game. Both sides have a lot of talent on offense. The Falcons have Julio Jones, obviously. They have Calvin Ridley. They have Mohamed Sanu. They've got a decent running back in Devontae Freeman. Matt Ryan's an elite quarterback. But on the flip side, you got Kirk Cousins, who is very underrated, in my opinion. And you have Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs and Kyle Rudolph. They've got Dalvin Cook. I could see him being a pretty damn tough team. I see this being a pretty high-scoring game. But overall, I think I'm actually going to give this an L. I think the Vikings are going to pull off the win. So, week 2, they will be staying home against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I feel like since their Super Bowl win in 2017, well, I guess it was the 2018 Super Bowl, but 2017, the 2018 season, I feel like since then the Eagles have been overhyped, and people start having a way higher expectation for them than they really have. So I don't think the Eagles are as great as everybody thinks. And on top of that, the Falcons tend to play really well against the Eagles. Plus it's at home. Atlanta is a hard place to play at. I'm going to give them the W. Now, week 3, they'll be traveling to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Now, this game, I'm sorry, I'm just going to be real with you. I don't see the Falcons pulling off this win. The Colts have a very, very solid defense. They have an elite offensive line, probably the best offensive line in the league. Andrew Luck is extremely talented. If it was just an offensive battle, I could probably give the win to the Falcons. But when it comes down to defense and everything, I'm sorry, the Colts have it. So I'm giving them an L. Next week they stay home versus the Tennessee Titans. Now, Tennessee Titans, I'm going to say this, their offense isn't very good, in my opinion, okay? Derrick Henry in the last, 5 games of the season or something like that, he started doing really well, and that caused everybody to start overhyping him. I don't see him ending up to be that great of a running back. He's big, he can run through people, but he's not going to be that great of a running back, in my opinion. The Titans have and I mean a lot, of room for improvement on offense. Their defense is actually pretty damn good. I'll give that to them. They've actually got a really solid defense, but I don't think they're gonna be able to do crap to the Falcons. So I'm gonna give the Falcons a W on that one. This one, they're gonna be traveling to Houston to take on the Texans. This one's a hard one to predict. The Texans' defense is really tough. They have elite pass rusher, J.J. Watt. They've got Jadeveon Clowney. I know they don't have Honey Badger anymore, but I mean, their defense is still very solid. So, plus every year it seems like Deshaun Watson is getting better and better, and DeAndre Hopkins, in my opinion, is the best receiver in the league. Now I know the Falcons have Julio Jones, who I think is the second best receiver in the league. So it'll be a really tough battle. They both have really good quarterbacks. They both have pretty decent running backs. It's a hard game to predict. I see this being a really, really close game. And I will say the Falcons are pretty underrated, but I've gotta give this game to the Texans. Week 6. I think this will be the last week that Patrick Peterson is out. Without him, they're not going to be able to do shit against this offense. There's no way they're going to be able to do shit against the Falcons offense. I also don't see Kyler Murray being as great as everybody thinks. I mean, he'll be all right. I think he's better than Josh Rosen, but I don't think they'll be that great. So I'm gonna give the Falcons a W. So far they're starting out 3-3. So week 7 they're staying home against the Los Angeles Rams. Like I said, Atlanta is a hard place to play in. And the Rams, I don't see being quite as good as this last year. Todd Gurley has that injured knee. They don't have Ndamukong Suh anymore. I don't see their secondary being all that great. I know they still have the best defensive player in the league in Aaron Donald. But, I don't think they'll be as great as last year. This will still be a very good matchup, but I actually see the Falcons winning this one. W. And then week 8, they are also staying home against the Seattle Seahawks. I feel like the Falcons usually play pretty well against the Seahawks as well. It's not quite as much of a rivalry as, the Panthers and the Seahawks, because that's basically turned into another divisional game. But, the Falcons usually play pretty well against them. I see this being a pretty close game, too. I don't think the Falcons will win by more than a touchdown, but I do think they will win. Week 9's obviously a bye, so we'll skip that. Then they will be playing Week 10 at New Orleans. It's never easy to play in New Orleans. Oh, I don't know. What the heck? No! I don't know what was up with that. I apologize. It's always hard to play New Orleans. That's Drew Brees' house. And I'm sorry, but I don't think the Falcons are winning that game. Not a whole lot of teams can beat the Saints in New Orleans. It's not that common. So I'm gonna give them an L. Next week, week 11, they are playing in Carolina, which I'm gonna try not to be a super biased Panthers fan, but I see Carolina plays well at home. They really do. I think they're one of the best home teams. This last year, I think at home they started out like 6-1 or something like that. It was really good. They started out really well. I don't see the Falcons winning in Carolina, so I'm gonna give them the L. Sorry. And then next week they play at home versus the Tampa Bay Bucks. I don't see the Bucks winning this game. I think the Falcons are a much better team. I just don't see the Bucks pulling it off, so I'm gonna give Falcons a W. Next week they stay home against the New Orleans Saints. Like I said, Atlanta is another difficult place to play in. The Saints and Falcons games are always fun to watch, especially both of them being in my division. I kind of usually just root for whichever team is doing worse that year because, obviously I don't want the other team to do better and have a higher chance at winning the division. But, I think for the game in Atlanta, I think I'm going to give the W to the Falcons. And then the week after that, they stay home versus the Carolina Panthers. Panthers, oh my god. They never play well in Atlanta. Okay, I'm not going to say they never play well in Atlanta, but they never pull off a win in Atlanta. That's always one of the harder games of the season, and even in years that the Panthers are more talented than the Falcons always pull off the win. I'm sorry, Panthers, but the Falcons are winning that one. And they have next week, they're traveling to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. This is a hard game for me to judge. But I really, excuse me, I really don't see the 49ers able to do a whole lot. I feel like the matchups just line up in Atlanta's favor. I know they have Nick Bosa. They added, what's his face? I think they added the guy from the Chiefs. I can't think of his name right now off the top of my head. But they made a lot of additions to their defense. They picked up Tevin Coleman from the Falcons, so that'll be fun to see. Tevin Coleman's a good running back. But overall, I think the Falcons are a lot more talented, and even though they're playing in San Francisco, I think this is a matchup in the Falcons' favor. W. And then they stay home next week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is another matchup I think will be pretty fun. I think it'll be interesting to see how the Jaguars do against Julio Jones. Julio Jones is obviously an elite wide receiver. Jalen Ramsey and AJ Boye are really talented. But I don't know how they'll do against all three of those good Falcons receivers. Mohamed Sanu is pretty underrated. Calvin Ridley, I think, is actually overrated, but he'll still be really good. I think this will be a little bit more of a defensive game, especially with that Jacksonville pass rush. I don't know what to predict on this one. It'll be a low-scoring game. I don't think either team will score more than 20, maybe 25 points. But I think the Falcons are going to pull it off. W. And then they will finish off the season in Tampa Bay. I don't know what to say. The Bucks are very weird. I feel like when they play well, they play really well. But when they play bad, they play like one of the worst teams in the league. With it being in Tampa Bay, and Jameis Winston being unpredictable, I think this is just a matchup that's gonna be pretty hard for the Falcons. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually give the W to the Bucks. So, but the overall record here, that is 10-6. Oh, I completely messed that up. One moment. 10-6. I see this being a pretty similar year to 2017 when when the Panthers, the Saints, and the Falcons all went to the playoffs. I could see this being a pretty similar year. I don't think the Falcons are going to win the division, but I think they have a very, very high chance at being like a wild card spot. So I'm predicting them to be the number 6 seed in the NFC. But anyways, guys, that's my prediction for the Atlanta Falcons in 2019. If there were things on here that you agreed with or didn't agree with, feel free to leave your opinion in the comment section below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a like on the video. After I finish the NFC South, let me know what division you'd like to see me do next. But yeah, anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much, and later.